Okay, so moving on. So thank you. I hope you all had a good lunch, a nice break, and a cup of tea and a nice conversation. We had lots of nice conversations. So moving on to the next section, actually, of the first lecture. This is as far as we've got. Anyway, the only begotten daughter at the centre of the completion of the Providence. So here, this idea, the central pillar of the, central pillar, or we would have said in the past, centre of the Providence would be Judaism, Christianity, and then you have the peripheral ones. Same sort of idea as that, I guess. Manifests at the central position of the cosmos. So the central pillar of the Providence serves as a standard of reference point when advancing or completing the Providence. The central pillar of the Providence manifests at the central position of the cosmos, where Heavenly Parent and humanity are united in a composite oneness. I don't know what composite oneness means. I mean, in English it would mean the same substance. Composite is that. It's like the idea of, Jesus being the same substance as God. It's interesting where all these things are going. The centre of heaven is a place where Heavenly Parent and true parents are united. So the biblical idea, of course, would be united in heart. The idea God is a parent, God is a father, mother, and we're God's children, that's a metaphor. It's never been understood as being literal or in substance. It's always been a metaphor, that kind of relationship. So united in heart. The only begotten daughter, true mother, is the central pillar of the completion of the providence on earth. The providence of heaven can only be completed with the presence of the only begotten son or only begotten daughter on earth. After the Heavenly Parent's foundation day, the central pillar of the providence of completion is true mother, the only begotten daughter in the flesh. Now that's in the flesh, going back to Nicaea. Jesus is the only begotten Son of God, therefore is the same substance, the same flesh of God. So that's interesting, that idea that true mother is the only begotten daughter in the flesh. So is she literally God, as Jesus was understood to be literally God, the same substance? Question marks. True mother is the only one who can embody Heavenly Parent in substance. Again, it's very Nicaean. Jesus is the only begotten Son, the second person of the Trinity. Nobody else can become that. It's a one-off thing. The only begotten Son is the second person of the Trinity, and nobody else can fill that space, because nobody else is of the same substance as God. Anyone who can embody Heavenly Parent in substance, unite with true Father in the heavenly realm, and fulfill the dream of Heavenly Parent and humanity on earth. Obviously, the dream of, having a God being able to dwell amongst His children in the family. The 2,000-year history of Christianity is a history of preparing for the only begotten daughter. Second coming Messiah came for the marriage supper of the Lamb. The birth of the only begotten daughter is necessary for the second coming Messiah to fulfill this responsibility. The 2,000-year history of Christianity has been one of preparing to welcome the only begotten daughter of God. So usually it just says only begotten daughter. Here it says only begotten daughter of God. That's back to Nicaea. Yeah. The marriage supper of the Lamb. It says here, true mother is the only begotten daughter of God. In the earlier, I don't know if any of you saw the earlier versions of the Chambumo-ron. Some of the earlier versions, they had a bullet point: the only begotten Son and the only begotten daughter are one. What does that mean? Any ideas? The only begotten Son and the only begotten daughter are one. That's been deleted from the current ones, but it was there in the original ones. Nobody would the person who's teaching that was the Middle East Continental Director, and he put it in bold, but he didn't explain what it means any more than any lecturer explains what all these bullet points actually mean. Interesting. Does it mean they get married? I don't know. Don't know. I mean, there's a bullet point. That's what it said. The only begotten Son and the only begotten daughter are going to be one, because they're all going. That's the Trinity: the only begotten Son and the only begotten daughter. And there you are. Where does that? So it's interesting to think. Where's that going to go? Where's the logic of that kind of statement going to lead to? Things that haven't been revealed yet. Heavenly Parent guided true Mother, the only begotten daughter, to meet and receive the holy marriage of the second coming Messiah by guiding her to make the personal decision to enter into this sacred union. So obviously, when Father chose Mother, then of course she had to decide whether she wanted to do that or not. And it's a heavy responsibility. If you look at our own royal family, the various princes, they had different girlfriends, and sometimes the girlfriend thought, no, I don't want to become the future Queen of England, and it didn't work. And, Prince William, he's married to to Catherine. She's not Princess Catherine, is she? Oh, she is Princess now. Oh, okay, sorry, I'm out of date with these things. Anyway, so, when she started thinking, she was his girlfriend from St. Andrews University, but then when she started to think about the implications of this, she was, do I really want to become a public figure like that with the paparazzi after me and everything I do is written and I have to do this, I have to do that, if I'm not fitting into this role, I can't, And, so she went away for a while and then they came back together and decided to get married. It's a heavy, heavy, heavy responsibility to get married to somebody who has that role in the future. Yeah, not easy. Anyway, so she was 16, I think. Was it 16 or 15? Sorry? 17, was it? Okay. Well, it depends which language you're counting in. Anyway, she's 16 or 17. And it's a really, you think about these things. Do I really want to take this on? And she decided to, thank goodness. So the heart in relation to true mother. True parents and we are united as parent and child, rooted in the heavenly lineage, and we're to practice filial piety. Relationship between true parents and blessed families is not a parent-child relationship based on faith, which is more the Christian kind of idea. It is a parent-child relationship connected by the lineage of heavenly parents. It's more of a Jewish idea, this blood lineage. So that's why, if your parents are Christians and you go to church, at some point you could say, I don't believe in God, I'm not a Christian. That's a relationship based on faith. If your parents are Jews and you're born Jewish and you decide to become an atheist and never go to the synagogue ever again, you're still a Jew. That's the way it works. You can't, I'm not a Jew anymore. It's a different kind of relationship within Judaism and Christianity. And this was, painful. During the 1940s, a lot of people who, when the Nazis looked back through their lineage, they found, you had a Jewish grandparent, therefore you're Jewish, and therefore we're sending you off to the gas chambers. Whereas if your parents or grandparents have been Christians, I'm not a Christian. Okay, we can accept that. It's a different kind of lineage, different kind of faith, you might say. So in that sense, if our blessed children, we have children, they're blessed children, the second generation, whether they can't say, I'm not a blessed child. Whether you like it or not, you're the second generation, you're a blessed child, whether you like it or not. You don't have to come to church. You can say, I don't believe in God or this, that, and the other, but still you have that status as a blessed child. That's really different. Anyway, that's what I think. All blessed families must become filial sons and daughters who are 10 true parents according to absolute standards. Okay, so let's have a look and explore this slide. How to understand filial piety. What is filial piety? Okay, so this is what Father said. What is the center and the foundation of the universe? I reach the realm of mystery and pray to God and ask this question. As it started, Mitty wants to know. Sorry, excuse me. As it started, yes, it has. Why is she asking me this? Mitty. Oh, okay. She's asking me other questions about C.S. Lewis. No, never mind. Oh, you answered her, Raymond. Thanks. Okay, thank you. I thought she wrote to me personally, I'll tell you. Okay, God answered, it is a relationship between a father and his children. In other words, a father-son relationship. People who do not understand might think we are talking about the relationship of our fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, but we mean the relationship of God and man. That's a Jewish understanding. Is I'm God's son or I'm God's daughter, and that is even more important than, I'm the son and daughter of, my physical, natural parents. It's interesting here, Father talks about father-son relationship. That's very Confucianist. I had to stick in, I modified it to put children in.
Father and son.
Sorry?
Was it father and son?
Yep. And I stuck the daughters in, because I'll have daughters. Well, I've only got one, but anyway. But ordinary people think it is about their own parents. So he's talking here in Korea to Koreans who are all Confucianists. And it's the fundamental relationship, is my relationship, filial piety, with my physical, natural parents. Whereas the Father said, no, it's a fundamental relationship with God, heavenly parent. Ordinary people think it's about their own parents. They think it's about their own father and mother, centering on moral principles. That's very Confucianist. It is wrong. When we look at it from a solid point of view, the conclusion is that the place where God and man become one, centering on the deep heart of father-son relationship, is the center of the universe. So that's it. It's a relationship that I need to modify this, put in mothers and daughters again, like I did in the first paragraph. But yeah. So what is the root of the universe? Parents and children. Parents and I, the father-son relationship, is the foundation of the universe. God is the Father and I am the Son. And I added sons and daughters. The last foundation is the parent-child relationship. And the last goal is the same. That is why we must find it. So this is what Father taught. The fundamental relationship is between the relationship we have with God, who is our heavenly parent. Yeah? Not with our natural parents, not with a physical person. Physical parents. God himself told me that the most basic and central truth of the universe is that God is the Father and we are his children. We're all created as children of God. It's created, not begotten. We're all created as children of God. And he said there's nothing closer, nothing deeper, nothing more ultimate than when Father and Son are one. One in love, one in life, and one in heart. The Father said that over and over again. He's emphasizing this. To try and get the people who he's talking to, mostly Koreans, to change their way of thinking about relationships. And the Father talks also about conscience. Spoke a lot about this. We can recover our original selves only when we submit absolutely to the commands of our conscience. The conscience is more important to us than our parents who gave us birth. We were begotten of them. More important than any teacher, except me, of course. And more important... It's only a joke. I'm glad you got the joke, Nico. I am a joke. And more important than the king of any country. Yeah, that's also really important. Just because a king or dictator tells you to do something, if it's telling you to do something wrong, you shouldn't do it, like going to invade another country. Only when elevated to such a position can the conscience become an object of God's love. The conscience needs no education about right and wrong, as True Mother was saying herself. We must give it absolute honour and respect, just as we would honour and listen to God. There's nothing I do that my conscience does not know about. It sees everything. The conscience objects whenever the body schemes to do something wrong. So when True Mother talks about filial piety, we have to think, okay, what does that mean? So we have to go back and look at the text. What did Father teach about filial piety? What did Father teach about what the most fundamental relationship is? And what Father teaches is exactly what you find in the Hebrew Bible. And that was the book Father read. What are the absolute standards of filial piety? Well, absolute means the highest. So it's like absolute zero is freezing point. It's minus 227 or 273 or...
273.
Yeah, minus 273 degrees centigrade or Kelvin. That's absolute zero. It's the lowest, or you can say it's the highest. The original Korean word for filial piety is hyo-hyang, which means love, respect, and devotion to parents and elders. Hyojong, which is what Father coined, means to have a feeling of overflowing desire in your heart to make your parents truly happy. Oh, that's interesting. Father he coined a new word, for that, like he coined a few new words. So let's have a look and see what Jesus said about this kind of thing. So, as Jesus said, God said, it's in the commandments, I think the fifth commandment or fourth, honor your father and mother. And he's talking here to, the people who he's talking to in the crowd. But you say that if anyone declares what might have been used to help their father or mother is devoted to God, they are not to honor their father or mother with it. Thus you nullify the word of God. For it is for the sake of your tradition. You hypocrites, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules. So I read this and I thought, how does that work? How does that work? And I think about our own spiritual community. We are asked to donate. Ruth and myself, we were very fortunate. We were able to, because of our money we'd inherited from our parents, we were able to liberate 430 generations, and we became, what do we call these things? Chambumo champions, is it? Or victors or something? Anyway, got this nice big box of clothes. Never managed to get around to putting it on because I got COVID. Anyway, never mind. Sorry? Yeah, I said, I can't even get... I said to Mike, well, maybe I can put it on twice and I get buried as well. No, it's just once. Oh, my goodness, what a beautiful costume. I'm going to wear it once. And then, when it came for the something or other, and then a week after that, there's supposed to be the next thing about where you dress up. And I came here for the whatever it was. I can't remember what it was now. And I caught COVID from Matthew, I think. And so that knocked me out. So I couldn't come to the thing the following Sunday. There hasn't been another one since. Ah, dear. So it's still in the box. I'm just hoping I can get a chance to go and put it on for some ceremony before I pass off into the spiritual world. Who knows? Never mind. Sorry? Well, she's got one as well. We both have one each in this big box. Yeah, so I keep it under the bed. And anyway, so I was thinking about this. What Jesus was saying here, and I'm thinking about, why are there so many problems with the Family Federation in Japan, especially? And I would say because people donated lots of money for ancestor liberation, went into debt, borrowed money from relatives, antagonized their parents, antagonized their uncles, aunts and cousins, antagonized their children because they didn't invest in their children's education. And I would say that. Yeah? That's not honouring. That's not doing the right thing. They're not to honour their father and mother. Oh, we don't have to take care of our parents or our children. It's more important to donate money to this or donate money to that. And I would say that's wrong. And I love the Islam, because Muhammad said everybody has to go on Hajj once in their lifetime if they can. But in order to be able to go on Hajj, they have to make sure they have no debts. Their businesses, if they're running a business, their business is going to be run okay while they go there for however many days it is. They've looked after their children and their parents and all these things. So they've done all of that, and only then do they have permission to go on Hajj. That's a good rule. And that's what we should do ourselves. So, sometimes people borrow money from a bank or somewhere, or credit card, to go and liberate their ancestors. And I say, well, who paid for them to be liberated? The bank. You can't do that. That's not the principle. And another thing, which I love from Islam, if you die in debt, what happens to you, Francis? You go to hell. Even if you've been even if you've been martyred, but you've been martyred and you're in debt, you go to hell. Okay, that's a good rule. That's what we should adopt within our own spiritual community. Don't get into debt. Yeah, especially by doing thinking you're doing God's providence and doing God's will and getting into debt. I think that's a big mistake. And I'm not making this up. It's the teachings of Jesus and the teachings of Muhammad. Peace be upon him. I'm not supposed to do that, are you? Anyway, never mind. Try to be a good Catholic there.
You have to clarify debts, though, because there are two types of debt.
Uh-huh.
You get a bad debt,
Uh-huh.
and a good debt.
Yeah, I mean, a good debt is you had to borrow money to get a mortgage. Well, Muslims have got very strict rules about all of these things, and interests and everything like that. It worked it out very well, I would say, generally speaking. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Nearly got to the end of the first lecture, I think. Conforming the new truth that leads to providence of the new era. Heavenly Parents' revelations are progressively declared through different stages according to the advancement of the providence. While spirit and truth are unique and eternal, their expression evolves in degree and method with time. You have to let go of old beliefs and accept and adapt to the new truth. Okay, let's explore, what does this mean? What is truth? I came across this not very long ago. Pilate's famous question, what is truth? So when Jesus came in front of Pilate, and Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to, Then Pilate said, what is the truth? Did Jesus answer that question? What is truth? He didn't answer that question.
I think truth is that you believe in the one, something like that.
Okay, so this is why he didn't answer the question. That's what is important. Why didn't Jesus answer the question? So Pilate's famous question, what is truth, is a category mistake from a biblical point of view, since truth is not about what, but about who. That is, truth is not something objective and static, like geometry or something like that, or the Nicene Creed, a thing to be known and studied from a distance. No. Truth is up close and personal. Understood in this way, truth is a way of living, a mode of existence, and inherently relational. It is a mistake to think of God as an object to be studied. No, God is not some static thing, but rather a dynamic and forceful person. That's why the name God gave Moses, what's your name? God said Yahweh. It's usually translated into English as, what was it translated as? I am who I am. Okay, that's a bad translation. That's not what the Hebrew means. Because I am who I am means that's static. The Hebrew translation is dynamic. I will be what I will be. But, yeah. Yes. It's, I read John, if I want to understand what the Hebrew Bible means, I have to read Jonathan Sacks, because Christians don't understand what the Hebrew Bible means. You need to read the rabbis to understand what the Hebrew Old Testament means. Like that. Anyway, so yeah, God is not some static thing like, Aristotle's first cause, which has influenced Christianity hugely. If you read the Westminster Confession of Faith, it's very much like that. A dynamic, forceful person. So God is personal. Unlike the Greek philosophers, like Aristotle, who tended to regard God as little more than a machine or device that caused the universe to get going, the Lord God of Israel is intensely personal, feeling, emotional, compassionate, angry, and so on. The Hebrew view of God is that of a living person, a spoken word and a fiery breath that broods over the events of the physical world. And you get that very much when you read the Hebrew Bible, the presence of God as a person with emotion and feeling and love and compassion and anger sometimes and punishment, all very, very much like that, a real dynamic relationship. And that's why when you look at Abraham and Moses and the prophets, when they're talking to God, it's that kind of personal, intense relationship they have with God. Incredibly intense, unlike, God is the first cause that started the universe, which is very much the Greek view, which then went on to influence Christianity a lot. Who? I can't remember. I came across it somewhere. I wish I knew who wrote it. No, it's not. But it sounds like it, yes.
Also, if you put the Christian or the current, explanation as I am, plus the Jewish one, I will, then it makes a great deal of sense that I am who I am, I will be what I will be.
Yeah, the thing in the Hebrew, you can translate it both ways, you see. In English, it's either this or it's that. Where Hebrew, it's both within the same word. And I'll come back to that later. Okay, so that's what truth is. So why the focus on beliefs and truth? Well, truth in the Bible is focused on truthfulness, honesty, integrity. It's not focused on true beliefs. No interest in that. It's focused upon truthfulness, being an honest person, a truthful person, having integrity. So the Bible, the Hebrew Bible especially, but generally, the focus is upon moral truth and integrity, not upon abstract truth. You have to believe the Nicene Creed and this, and this, and this, and this. So moral truth is about right and wrong. That's the Mosaic law. And of course, even before that, don't eat the fruit. Hence the focus on knowing and keeping the moral law. Learn the commandments off by heart. And as it says in the Psalms, and speaketh the truth in his heart. I love that expression in English, learn something off by heart. When you learn something off by heart, it becomes part of you. It's not, I memorized it. I've learned it off by heart. I've integrated it into myself. That's the way it should be. And that's why Jesus, what did he say? Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He didn't say what I'm saying is true. He never said I'm teaching the truth. He said, I am the truth. Yeah? He himself, that's his whole idea. It's who, not about what. It's about who. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He was a true person. And in the Unification, Unification thought, especially, it talks about an individual truth body. That's what Jesus was. He was an individual truth body. He was an embodiment of the truth. And that's why when he spoke, he wasn't just talking about things he learned off by heart. He just, book stuff, it was coming from him. And that's why when he spoke, it touched people's hearts, because he was, speaking from there. And then in Deuteronomy it says, "And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God ask of you but to fear the Lord your God, to walk in obedience to him, to love him, to serve the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and to observe the Lord's commands and decrees that I'm giving you today for your own good." Yeah, it's not, oh, you have to believe this, this, and this, and this, or this and this and this abstract truth. You have to live your life according to the moral law. The focus on truth claims by religions have led to conflict, because it implies that what others believe is false. You've got Nicene Creed and other creeds. If you focus upon truth as you have to believe the right thing, then everybody, well, we believe the truth, and what you believe is not the truth, it's false, and therefore this leads to conflicts. Yeah? And that's why Father said in his peace messages, religion leads to these kind of conflicts, because the focus is all upon, do you believe this? Do you believe what I believe? You know, I've often had this experience with Christians. They want to know, well, how does what you believe different to what I believe? Who cares? But for some people, it's what you believe is the most important thing, more important than how you live your life. So I would say how you live your life is much more important than what you believe. So is something true? Well, it's in the Enlightenment tradition. Is something logical and coherent? It leads to rationalism, like mathematics. Does it correspond to reality? This is the empirical view, which led to the development of science and scientific theories. Does it work? It's a sort of utilitarian point of view. You look at the Houses of Parliament, you think, who on earth would design something with all these funny doors and these funny banging on the doors and this and that and the other? But it works. So to what extent is the Chambumo-ron true in that sense? Is it logical and coherent? Does it correspond to the world, the way the world is? Does it work? So this is something, I'm more interested in wisdom than I am in truth. So the dictionary definition defines wisdom as the ability to discern or judge what is true, right, and lasting. Knowledge, on the other hand, is information gained through experience, reasoning, or acquaintance. Knowledge can exist without wisdom, but not the other way round. One can be knowledgeable without being wise. Wisdom is the fitting application of knowledge. Knowledge understands the light has turned red. Wisdom applies the brakes. Knowledge sees the quicksand. Wisdom decides not to enter it. Okay?
There's one thing left.
I'm sure I edited lots of stuff out. Carry on, Francis. What have I missed out?
Okay. If wisdom is the lightest red, and then the other one is break is what?
I think didn't I say knowledge is the light is red? You see, the light is red, therefore I should stop. Yeah.
Yeah, and then wisdom is applied in red.
That's right, yeah.
Then understanding there is deciding whether to go or not.
Yeah, to be able to evaluate things. It's really important. So that's the highest standard where you can evaluate these things. Yeah, I left that out, yeah.
So the understanding
Yeah.
is the one that is not.
Yeah, you're right. It's your knowledge, understanding, and then evaluation, which is the wisdom side, yeah. And, poor old David Hanna. Oh, never mind to talk about it. Anyway, never mind, I won't bring it up now. Because he was teaching, and then somebody came along and said, well, you're not teaching the Chambumo-ron. Just teaching what you always teach, the UPF thing, so. Sorry? Yeah. So, some people think what you believe and what you teach is the most important thing, as opposed to, well, I'm teaching these people, so I need to teach them in a way that's good for them, not just... this is Proverbs of David and Solomon. I encourage people to read the Proverbs. For gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction and prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to those who are simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. For understanding proverbs and parables, the sayings and the riddles of the wise, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So I came across somebody who despised wisdom and instruction 3-4 weeks ago. So then let's have a look see what it says in the Divine Principle. Let us examine some other reasons a new expression of truth must appear. So this is what Mother is restating. You need to have a new expression of truth. The Bible is not the truth itself, but rather a textbook teaching the truth. So here, truth is a sort of an enlightenment view, like a rationalism, correct belief, and all that sort of thing. It renders important parts of the truth in symbols and parables. Since these are open to various interpretations, there have arisen numerous disagreements among believers, causing them to divide into many denominations. The primary cause of denominational division lies in the character of the Bible, not in the people. Is that true or not? I disagree myself. Yeah, Joanna?
I think the Bible is so full, if you really read it and read it and read it and read it over and over,
Yeah.
you can pick out differences from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
If you just read it straight, you can't see multiple things, but it's so multiple, so it does cover everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Jewish view is that there are 70 possible interpretations of every verse. The Christian view is there's only one correct interpretation of a particular verse. And if you don't accept my interpretation of this particular verse, you can't come to this church anymore. You've got to go and start your own church. And I think that's the problem. The problem's not the Bible, it's the people. Whereas this says it's not the people, it's the Bible. I think the principle is wrong here. So every translation is an interpretation. Every reading is an interpretation. So if you know yourself, who here can speak more than one language fluently? No. Come on, Aniko. You can speak more than one language fluently. And Peter, and Francis, and Brigitte, and see who else. So when you're speaking, is it possible to have an exact translation from one language to another? No. Every translation is an interpretation. You just look in a dictionary for one word, and you can translate it, and it gives you a selection of 3, 4, 5, up to 10 words maybe. And you have to decide which translation is the best interpretation. It can never be something exact. So that's the reality. Every time you read, it's the same as people. You have what's called reading circles. People have a book they read together, and they meet up, and they talk about it. And each person reads something different in this particular novel because it speaks to them in a different kind of way, and they associate with a particular character in that novel depending upon who they are as a person. So again, you get many different interpretations. It's not that one interpretation is the best. Maybe some are better than others, without a doubt, and more interesting than others. Some interpretations are boring, but it depends upon the person. So every reading is an interpretation, and that's inevitable, whether you like it or not. So I would say I disagree with that little passage there in the Divine Principle book. So is it the Bible that causes division, or people thinking correct belief or truth is the most important? The strife, again, the Divine Principle says, the strife between denominations will only grow more intractable unless a new truth emerges which can elucidate the symbols and parables obscuring the essential truths of the Bible. Without this new truth, God's providence, which comes through the unification of Christianity, can never reach its goal. This is why Jesus promised that in the last days he'll give the new word of the truth. Again, that's one of the great things about the Bible, is there are many different ways in which it can be interpreted. That's why people are still reading the same book 3,000 years later. Because for every age it's fresh and new, and everybody reads it differently in whatever age it is. So I remember I go to synagogue from time to time, and as one rabbi, said, if you look at the Psalms, some of them about these terrible suffering and this persecution, all these dreadful things that happened to the Jews. It's okay, we don't need those. Let's delete those Psalms, we don't need them anymore. You don't know whether you will or not. That's the thing. So there's always something for everybody in every age that's there. And people read these, interpret these things differently. Yeah. So did this approach, one truth, work? Christians try to do that with the Nicene Creed. Everybody has to believe this, this, and this, and this, or they have to leave. Did that work to unify Christianity? No. Then they tried one leader, the Pope. Did that work? No. That's why one of the reasons you got the split between the Orthodox churches and the Catholic Church. One way to worship. Did that work? The Russian Orthodox Church itself split because they had a conflict between whether you should be crossing yourself with 2 fingers or with 3 fingers. No, they divided. Why you got the Baptists? Well, they say we don't believe in sprinkling. You have to be baptized at full immersion. Etc., etc. And so many divisions happen because everybody thought we have the truth, we got the right leader, or we're worshipping the right way. If you don't worship this way, then you go to hell, etc., etc., etc. And one calendar. So again, the Julian calendar. What's the other one? Anyway, the Orthodox and the Western churches celebrate Christmas and Easter on different days. Again, it's difficult. So how do you do it then? Yeah, I think so I went to Holy Trinity Brompton many years ago, and there's anyway the vicar there. I can't remember his name now. A wonderful person, and he was talking about this because the leadership conference, and there are Christians there from every denomination. Nicky Gumbel. His father actually was a secular Jew. Anyway, so he became a Christian, and he was talking, and he said it's wonderful. We have Christians here of every denomination, every colour, every nationality. We're all gathered together. And he said, why? He said, well, Christians try to unite by having a common belief. Didn't work. By having one leader. It didn't work. By worshipping in the same way, it didn't work. By singing exactly the same songs, it didn't work. He said the reason that it works is because the basis of our communion here and our leadership conference is friendship. And friendship is love. And he said God called Abraham, well, several times, Abraham, I think 3 or 4 times in the Bible, Abraham is described as the friend of God. And Moses was the friend of God. And Jesus didn't call his disciples. He said, you're my friends. And you may disagree with each other, but we're friends. And this, I think, is really precious. It's through love. As Father said, unity comes about through true love. Friendship is one aspect, or one expression of that kind of love. That, you get on with people, you argue with them, disagree with them, believe different things, have interesting conversations as a result. But it's friendship, which is more important than anything else. You're not going to unite Christianity through everybody having to believe the same truth. It's been tried, doesn't work. So there we go. Right? Yes.
Where does the concept of blood relationship, will that supersede friendship?
It's a different thing. You can choose your friends. Can you choose your brothers and sisters? No. Whether you like it or not, my sister basically is a Nazi. But she's my sister. And we argue, we discuss, but we're always very close. Even though politically she's always been a communist, now she's a Nazi. But she's my sister. That's it. Whereas a friend, I don't think I'd choose her to be a friend. Because we would just spend all our time arguing about politics and this and this and this, and there'd be nothing deeper connecting us together. So we're connected at a deeper level because we are brothers and sisters, same blood. And it's the same, you may know, my mother's born in Jerusalem, and my mother's younger sister still lives in Israel. She's 90 now. Anyway, I met her once in my life when I was, where was I? I was at Manchester University. She came to London, see my parents, and she brought one of her daughters along. And my mother said, "Why don't you come and meet your aunt?" "Oh, okay." So I came down, met my aunt for about half an hour, and then I went for a walk with her daughter. Anyway, so I met her. And then didn't see her again until I went on the MEPI. So I saw her first in the early 80s. And when was the MEPI going on? I can't remember now.
Early 90s.
Well, no, not the 80s. Must have been, was it the late 90s? Or?
90s, early 20s.
Yeah, anyway, around that sort of, it's about 20 years later, I hadn't seen him. I had a chance to go on a MEPI, and I thought, why don't I go and visit my aunt? So I asked my mother, can I have her phone number, please? I hadn't been in touch with her at all for 20 years. I'd only ever seen her once before then. So I said, I'm coming to Israel. Can I come and see you? She can only say one thing. What's that? No. All she could say was, yes, because I'm her nephew. Her children are my cousins. If I was just an abstract stranger that she met on this somewhere in London 20 years before, she could say, "Who are you?" No, you know what I mean? That's the blood connection. It's eternal in that sense. Yeah, so that's the difference, I would say, between friendship and family. So it's a different kind of relationship. Yeah, definitely. And sometimes friends break up. When they get into political arguments, like over Brexit. And even families broke up. It's tragic that people think that what you believe is more important than anything else. What your political perspective is more important than anything else. My sister goes, my views on Israel. But, okay, well, it's just politics. Who cares? You're my sister. I'm your brother. And so when my dad died, then she brought one of her families along. One of her sons came with his wife and their children. All my sister wanted to talk about was politics. Oh man, boring. So I just talked to my nephew and his wife. I only see them very, very rarely. I just told them about their grandmother, my sister's mother, and about, that they didn't know anything about because they'd never met her for various family reasons. So I was just telling them about all the family stories. That's what's important, to know who you are. To know who you are, you have to understand where you came from. You need to understand your family history and why it is that your mother and her mother don't get on with each other. And why it is that... Anyway, it's a long story. So I would say never mind, move on. Okay. So know the values and mission of the true mother, the only begotten daughter. True mother, after 50 years of patience and waiting, began to address the truth of the providence by starting with the proclamation of the only begotten daughter. My question is always, why wait? Nobody's given a sensible answer to why did she wait 50 years before she started to talk about what she believed about herself and what she believed about the way the providence had developed. Why did she wait until Father died before she started talking about any of these things? The highest wisdom for living in the era of Chongyil Guk is to understand the words and providence from the perspective that true mother, the only begotten daughter, is a central pillar for the completing heavenly parent's providence. And so, for me that's always a question, why wait? My own view is, the Chambumo-ron, personally, I think you should have just taken the Divine Principle book and revised it and added a few sentences here, a couple of paragraphs there. When I teach it, that's what I've done already. In the Divine Principle book, it says Adam should have made a foundation of faith. Zup. Adam should have made a foundation of substance. Zup. And I thought, well, shouldn't Eve have made a foundation of faith? Yes. Shouldn't Eve have made a foundation of substance? Yes. So why isn't it in the book? You don't need to produce a whole new lecture series. You just need to take the Divine Principle book and correct it, which is what I do. I just go around correcting people and correcting books and annoys people, but I don't care. Things need to be corrected. So that's what I've done. And so when I teach the Bible stories, I don't just talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I talk about Abraham and Sarah, and Hagar, and that's really important, the role of women there, and about Isaac and Rebecca. And I talk a lot about Rachel and Leah, and Moses' sister Miriam, a great, incredibly important figure. And some of the female judges, and Esther and Ruth. Why have we left them out of the Divine Principle lectures or the book? I would say that's a mistake.
Even
So,
in life itself,
sorry?
even in life itself, how many men,
Yes.
accept women?
Yes, I agree with
The
you.
opinion of women.
Yeah.
That started from a long time ago. That is the reason also mother was like, I don't know, maybe no power really for what she wants.
I understand. Okay. And I personally think if that is the case, I think it's really sad. That's all I can say. It shouldn't have, in my opinion, it should not have been like that. That's all I can say. It should not have been like that. It was very, very sad, because we end up now with something different. Whereas what would have been better if we just corrected and revised the Divine Principle book to bring in the parts that were left out, which is particularly the role of women. Because they're all there in the Bible. It's all in the Bible. Why did we leave it out? Yes.
I was thinking to myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered how much of this blame is on you or I, because you should ask the questions.
I think everybody wants to listen to your voice, Joanna.
Yeah, sorry.
Online.
I was wondering to myself, and I've been doing that more and more as I pray, why did I not question that point myself? Because it's quite obvious now. It's quite obvious. It's true. Mother's role is, and after Father passed, it was maybe a few weeks after or a month after, I suddenly felt, great. Now we can see God in the feminine. We can see God in true mother. I wondered why on earth we didn't ask those questions. And even with this Chambumo-ron, I was thinking, why is it so late? Why haven't we asked the questions? So I don't just blame those who are giving it. I think that I was stupid not to think it myself.
Okay. Excuse me. I think the answer was, for some reason, Father and Mother weren't able to talk about these things and agree about these things. So I would say they weren't really united about many things. And that was the conclusion I came to soon after Father died. Came out with modified the family pledge, came out with a new version of the Chambumo-ron. All these things happened within a very short time. I think it's because she didn't agree with lots of things Father was doing, and for whatever reason, they weren't able to talk about it and come to some common understanding about these things. And because they didn't have a common understanding, that's why it wasn't until Father died that True Mother started talking about these things. So to me, it reflects upon the relationship Father and Mother had with each other. And all I can say, it's just very sad. Whereas I look at Philip and Elizabeth, they were very completely common understanding about everything, always talking openly with each other about everything. And they're incredibly united. So I just feel it's sad, shame.
William, do you want to take a break for one more session?
One more slide, I think there is. So which makes the most sense? The exposition of the principal version of the nature of reality and the providence of restoration, I haven't coming across that, or Chambumo-ron, or something true just because a person with authority says it's true. So I think, one has to think about these things. That's all I do. It drives my kids nuts, so I hardly ever say anything to them anymore. All I do is think about these things to try and understand why are things the way that they are. I've always been like that. That's why I study science. Why are things the way they are? Has something gone wrong at some point? Okay, there we are. Actually, I think this is it. Okay, so, yep. So that's the end of that lecture. So it took me 6 hours to go through it. That's all I can say. I just think about these things. And, that's all I can do. and just tell you what I think. And not whether you agree with me or not, it's neither here nor there to me. But as long as you go away and you start thinking about these things yourself and coming to your own conclusions, etc., etc. I'm a teacher, I'm not an evangelical. I'm trying to convert people to believe this or that. I'm Jewish, not Christian. Yes, Charlie, can we
Maybe
together?
like a 10 minutes toilet break, but in order to finish by 4, because it's already 3 o'clock.
Oh, really? Gosh, it went on for a long time, didn't it?
Well,
Okay. Okay, yeah, 10-minute break. 10-15-minute break, yeah. And I'll start the second lecture, which is why I was supposed to start it off this morning.
Oh, really?
Yes.